If you were on the internet anytime during 2015, or frankly anytime after that, then I'm sure that you've heard of this small, underground indie game called Undertale. Now just in case you were one of 3 people watching this video who don't know what Undertale is, allow me to explain. Undertale is a game that was placed onto the crowdfunding website Kickstarter in June of 2014. What? Wow, I did not realize it was this long ago. It started with a goal of $5,000 and quickly made 10 times that in crowdfunding, eventually being released in September of 2015. It took the internet by storm, quickly having theories, let's plays and covers of the game music made and uploaded online. Even having over a 4-hour-long musical of the entire game soundtrack being made by the user, Man on the Internet. And while I'm sure you could attribute many aspects of Undertale to its success, such as its lovable yet deep characters who often seem ripped straight out of Tumblr, or its commentary and diversion of the usual tropes in RPG games, I would argue it was the music that propelled it to its astronomical heights. Now, I may be speaking with personal bias here, as despite having clocked over 63 hours in the game, my only real memories that remain are never having beaten the Sans boss fight, being confused on why I could not defeat Undyne not knowing that you had to use the run mechanic, and entering Hotland for the first time, and being lulled into a trance listening to its area's theme. So for me, Undertale the game was more an accessory to Undertale the soundtrack, so much so that I'm hesitant to play the game again in case it affects my opinions on the music. So please, join me as I rank all of the songs in the Undertale soundtrack. Before I get into this, I should explain what the tiers mean. So basically, S tier is an absolute bop that I will listen to outside of listening to the entire soundtrack. A tier is songs that I will skip sometimes, but I love them so much that I usually don't, and I'm like banging my head along to them and I'm dancing and stuff, but sometimes I just want to get to the good stuff, to the real S tiers. B tier is songs that I enjoy enough to like whistle along to with the tune, but nothing that gets me, moving and bopping my head and tapping my feet. C tier is alright songs that I don't usually skip, but it depends on my mood and sometimes I'm just not here for it. D tier songs are songs that I almost always skip, and F tier songs are songs that I actively despise and do not want to listen to. I also want to quickly clarify that I have no background in music whatsoever. I am just a guy, a dude, giving his opinion on the internet. Okay? Cool. For the first song on this list, we have Once Upon a Time, which is a song that does exactly what it sets out to do. It sets the mood perfectly for the opening cutscene of the game, and on top of that, it's just a really nice tune. I often find myself humming this melody to myself. For example, in the Undertale 5th anniversary concert, this song sounds absolutely amazing. However, one of the only downsides of this song is some of the notes are so incredibly ear-piercing that it really puts me off of the song. The biggest compliment that I do have for this song, as I mentioned earlier, was the melody of it, which while being fantastic, is done significantly better later on in the soundtrack. So the best that I can give this song is a C. On some days I will skip this song entirely, but it works well as the beginning of the story of Undertale and the beginning of our journey through this soundtrack. Next up is the start menu, which, while I enjoy the melody of the song, much like Once Upon a Time, the bit-crushed instruments really bring it down for me. Much like the first song on this list, it can be incredibly grating on the ears. I do like the solo that plays at the end. It has a fun, sort of playful vibe to it, and in spite of the fact that this song often causes me to bop my head side to side or tap my feet, I don't think I can realistically put this song any higher than D tier. It's just too simple. We get a better, more fleshed out version of this song later on, and while I understand why Toby did not use that song from the start as the menu theme, it just replaces this one in every single way. And this is the part where I quickly clarify that I don't think any of the songs in this soundtrack are terrible, so they're all being ranked comparatively to their compatriots. For the third song on this list, we have Your Best Friend, which is the theme for Flowey, and it has a few things going for it. One of those being that it is essentially just a bit-crushed version of F is for Friends from SpongeBob, which I actually find rather amusing. Once again, it is one of those songs that has a really catchy melody, which will be used later on in the soundtrack more effectively, but at the moment, the bit-crush nature of the instruments just really bring it down. I find that the best thing about Toby Fox's music is his mix of bit-tune and regular instruments, and these first few songs sadly don't incorporate that at all. This motif will be done much better later on the soundtrack, so for now, all I can give this one is a C. The first B tier that we have for this video, which is quite a good one, is Fallen Down. The only reason I didn't put this song any higher is how short it is, and how much better the reprise is of this that we get later on. Don't get me mistaken, it's still a brilliant song and the first to incorporate regular instruments alongside the bit-tune instruments really well. I would also say it's the first song to do the layering of instruments properly. You could argue that Once Upon a Time did that as well, but I would say that the bit-tune nature of those instruments makes the layering clash in ways that the piano does not in this song. Being the theme that plays when you first meet Toriel, it is also suitably welcoming and calming in its vibe. It's a very relaxing song that leads quite well into the following song, and because of that, I'm going to have to give it B tier. Keeping in line with themes of firsts for this video, we have the first A tier of the list, Ruins. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and it is constantly progressing and changing. While the first 30 seconds of the song may seem rather basic at first, it quickly transitions into a song that feels very full and lively, which I think works perfectly for the first area of the Ruins. In saying that, I do not mean to discredit the opening moments of this song. I am a sucker for the piano, so I am definitely biased in this sense, but something about the high notes being played in quick succession after the first loop of the backing piano just sounds perfect. And when the high notes take over the melody, they feel like they weave in and out of the lower notes perfectly. And then, as the music adds more instruments than just the piano, it feels like the melody has been more fleshed out. The added drums in the background are so subtle, and yet I feel it makes the song sound complete. Without them, it just wouldn't sound right. After the first verse, the music swells and feels grand yet oddly familiar, and then it changes again into a more mysterious and adventurous sounding tune, which fits the area of the Ruins perfectly. It's your first introduction into the game, and subsequently the soundtrack. I'd also say this part uses the BitTune instruments the right way by laying it on top of the real instrument, that being the backing piano, which, speaking of the backing piano, it's moved up in notes and is playing a more advanced version of the opening. It's such a good song, a definite deserved A tier. So Temperate, which is definitely a song name, serves as a rather odd mood shift after the Ruins. Before doing research for this video, I didn't even know where this song played in the game, and as it turns out, it plays in the joystick config menu of all places. Not only that, but it's only played during spring/autumn, which is an odd choice, but who am I to say? It starts off rather simple, and unlike Ruins, I would argue this is to its detriment. It just remains the same for too long, overstays its welcome, which often leads to me just skipping it. It's a shame, because it has an oddly calming nature to it, and if it was half as long, I don't think I would dislike it as much as I do, but it is not half as long, so here we are. Thanks, Google. It's not a bad song by any means, just...
Hi. To get started, download the Google Home app on a phone or tablet.
Yeah?
The mic's off.
Okay. It's not a bad song by any means, just very random and not deserving of any higher than B tier. The next song on this list, Anticipation, is just an excerpt of the battle music. It's still a nice little song to bop your head to, but it's nothing crazy. I wouldn't call it God's gift to man or anything, but it does serve as a needed palate cleanser after the serene nature of the previous song. I know that's not why it was made, but it fits that role perfectly. It also sets the tempo higher in preparation for the following song, which is more of a jingle. C tier. It works well as a transitionary song, but is quickly outclassed by its own full version soon, so I can't rank it any higher. It being C tier is just a testament to how good the regular battle theme is. Unnecessary Tension, the next song on this list, is just as it's titled, unnecessary. Honestly, the most value I've gotten out of listening to this song and writing this script is learning how to spell unnecessary. It's used as a gag in the game, which I honestly don't even think is that funny. I mean, even my vinyl version of the OST completely skips over this song, which I have emailed them about and they are sending me a new one. This is a D tier. Enemy Approaching is the battle music for Undertale, so it was very important that Toby Fox got it right, and I'd say that he did a pretty good job at that. It's a nice little song to bop your head along to as you fight bad guys, and it's appropriately quick-paced. It surprisingly goes through a lot more of a journey than I would expect a combat theme to, starting rather simple and then swelling up into this multi-layered bop, which then continues to evolve towards the end of the song. It has a nice ending to it that I wouldn't expect of combat music. It's just so catchy, and it has so much character. When listening to it, I can't help but hum or whistle along to it. It's just fantastic. Definitely an A tier song. Ghost Fight, the theme that plays when you fight Napstablook, is an oddly good song. Like a song that's meant to have the spooky sort of stereotypical ghost sound to it, actually works really well. The use of the low sounding instrument gives it an oddly jazzy vibe that really gets me going, you know? Like it's just so good. And this song, which uses a sample of a guy going ooh as a lot of its music and vocals, has a motherfucking equivalent of a bass drop in it. When the aforementioned vocals, which I use that word very loosely, are introduced, it just goes so fucking hard for no reason at all. It layers the vocals with what are essentially BitTune trumpets, and all of it mixes well with the underlying bass line perfectly. Definitely a high A tier. The only thing holding this song back is that it feels incomplete in a sense. That's probably because of my knowledge, knowing that Dummy comes later on, but what can I say? It is a biased tier list. I will expand much more on this song when we get to Dummy, so look forward to that. Man, I do not like Determination much at all, which is a shame because when listening to it in the Undertale 5th anniversary stream, it sounds beautiful. Like I really wish I liked this version of the song, but it's just painful to listen to. It lacks all of the flair of a Toby Fox song. Like it's fine and it works well as a game over screen, but it's just too generic for a Toby Fox song. The ending is nice enough, I suppose, but I can't rank this very high. It's too repetitive and I can't stand it. It's not quite in F tier. It has a nice enough melody, but man, it is a low D tier. Home. What a fitting title for this song. This song just feels so comfy and relaxing and warm. It is a song that encapsulates the vibe of a home that we all wish we had. A home in which you can be relaxed and safe and not have to worry about who you are. Toriel, despite being a monster and us being a human, cares for us as if we were her own child. I mean, she also did that with Chara, but that's not the point I'm getting into here. The feeling of being safe and loved unconditionally that this song gives off is just beautiful. It's the true embodiment of the place where you're safe and you're protected. It doesn't matter what is going on in the outside world. It doesn't matter how much you are being berated. Despite everything, you can come home and still be you. It's a truly fantastic song. The entire song being just an acoustic guitar adds to this warm feeling. It's like you're sitting around a campfire, enjoying the company of others and just having a great time. I don't have much else to say about this song. It's just fantastic. I can't do it justice. High A tier for sure. My thoughts on the music box cover of Home have definitely changed over the years. It definitely used to be my favourite version of the song, but the more I listen to it, the more that's changed. I think it's just because part of it sounds a little bit too clunky when transitioning between notes. It doesn't have the same seamless transition that the original Home does. You're never going to achieve that with a music box the same way that you would with an acoustic guitar, and unfortunately that just drags this one down quite a lot. It's still definitely a high B tier, but it doesn't reach the same heights as the original Home. Next up, we have our first boss track of the game, Heartache, and man, what a good song this is. The slow progression of this song from beginning to end, it's just wonderful. It starts rather simple, and then it slowly increases in scale, adding in what sounds like a sort of angelic choir. This mixed with the crashing of the cymbals and the weight of this fight, and subsequently the song, are just incredible. And when the wind instruments come in, man, they add this air of innocence and grace to the track that works perfectly. Toriel's facade of being this monster who's going to show you how tough the underground is starting to crack underneath the pressure of actually having to go through with hurting you, and you can hear that come through in the music. Not only that, but at first it sounds like it's going to loop halfway through, which it doesn't. It actually continues with this grander scale, with new instruments taking the lead of the melody, and the cymbals come crashing in again for the second chorus, accompanied by the wind instruments. However, this time they're more prominent than the first time. You can feel the despair and the heartache, which, hey, that's the name of the song, that Toriel is feeling so vividly. She doesn't want to be this obstacle in your way, she just wants to live a happy life with you. And this song just portrays that beautifully. It's such a fucking good song, man. Definitely the first S tier of this video. Just incredible. Next is Sans. What a goofy song this is. Which, it makes sense for the funny internet skeleton man. It's not anything special and it loops about halfway through. This song just doesn't sit with me. It works fine for the context that it's in, that being meeting Sans for the first time after he pranks you with a whoopee cushion, but I just don't think it's a great song to listen to outside of the context of the game, so it's going to sit comfortably in the low C tier. It's got a funny ending to it though. Nyeh Heh Heh is a bit crushed version of Papyrus's better song, Bonetrousle, so I can't in good faith place this any higher than D tier. The bit crushed nature of it is just grating on the ears. Like, the melody itself is fantastic, but as I just mentioned, it's done way better in Bonetrousle. Sorry, second funny skeleton man, but this is not getting out of D tier. Snowy. This song follows the theme of area tracks just being fantastic so far. I love this song, probably an unreasonable amount. The melody is just so pretty and relaxing. Much like Ruins, it doesn't loop and overstay its welcome. It changes and evolves throughout the song. Adding in string instruments which pair perfectly with the piano playing the underlying theme, it's just so damn good. Definitely a song to hum to yourself. Such a good song. Honestly, my only problem with it is the ending. It just ends so weak, which you could say is good and relaxing and fits the song, but I would disagree. Coming after the strings portion of the song, it just feels so underwhelming. It's definitely still a high A tier though, just barely misses out on being S tier unfortunately. You Are So Holiday is a song that exists, and that is a name that exists. It's not terrible or anything, and much like its previous counterpart, it's only seen on the joystick config screen. However, this time it's only seen during December of all of the months. December. The wiki refers to it as months, but like December is only a month, so I don't know why it says months plural instead of 1 month. Regardless, I find it fine. It's just a jingly version of the previous Ooh Ah song. It loops about halfway through. It's gonna be a D tier. Why so much lower than the first? Well, the first is just nicer on the ears and actually goes through a change, albeit very slight, which means it edges this one out by a margin. Dogbass is a weird one, where I don't usually skip this song, entirely because it's done before I can even realize that it's playing. It's 6 seconds long, short enough to be inoffensive and often forgotten, so it's the first F tier. It's not even a song. Mysterious Place is nothing. It's just nothing. It's weird, mysterious, ambient noise that is honestly pretty hard on the ears. I do not like Mysterious Place. Easiest F tier that I've ever had in my life. Dogsong is exactly what it sounds like, a song made out of dog noises. This song is a testament to how good the main battle theme is, Enemy Approaching, because despite being a cacophony of just dog yaps, the actual theme that it's playing isn't bad and sounds quite nice. Sometimes I won't skip this song, strangely enough, so it's gonna sit in low C tier. I really like Snowdin Town. It serves as a more full and lively sounding version of Snowy, which checks out considering it's in a town where it's populated, unlike the wastelands that are the forests. I like Snowdin Town for different reasons than Snowy, however. Where Snowy is more relaxing and calming, this song is a lot more upbeat and you can bop your head along to it. It just has such a cheery attitude, which is likely to be attributed to the piano playing the high notes. Once again, it starts out simple enough and then starts adding layers of instruments only to switch it up towards the end, the classic Toby Fox formula. This song is going next to Snowy, probably slightly above it, but for different reasons. Snowy is more relaxing and calm and a song that I can honestly probably fall asleep to, whereas Snowdin Town makes me want to get up and move and make friends and have a good time. A tier. Shop is just a bit-tuned, sped-up version of the Snowdin theme, which originally compelled me to place this low in the C tier. However, after giving it a re-listen, I've changed my mind on that. This song actually stands on its own and is rather different than Snowdin Town and Snowy. About halfway through the song, the rather harsh bit tunes that are used are replaced with a softer piano accompanied by strings. I think it's a very well put together song that actually ranks pretty high among the songs that are just retreads of existing ones. It's gonna sit in mid-B tier. Despite being a rather simple song, Bonetrousle does Papyrus's theme the justice that Nyeh Heh Heh could never. Immediately starting off bombastic and over the top, the drums are conflicted with a rather goofy melody, which I believe belongs to Papyrus absolutely perfectly. This song is such a good representation of how Papyrus views himself, the fantastic smarter-than-thou hero who will swoop in and save the day, capturing the human and saving the underground, whereas the actual melody of the song is just as goofy as Papyrus is in reality. The way that the song picks up during the latter half and manages to sound even more regal is just so funny for a guy like Papyrus. This song is great, brilliant even. I didn't even realize how much I liked this song until my vinyl of the OST decided to completely skip majority of the song. Only then did I realize I liked it so much. I wouldn't quite say this is an S tier song like the previous boss track, but it's definitely a high A tier. Papyrus's theme just isn't my favorite, despite how much I've been singing its praises. Staying with goofy songs relating to Papyrus, Dating Start is one of those songs. It has the vibe of a stereotypical romance visual novel, which is definitely what Toby was going for, so I think he nailed it, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'm a bit conflicted about this song, because while originally listening to it, I didn't like it quite as much as some of the other songs on this list. Making this script has really made me realize how much I do like this song. It just feels a little bit too stretched out. Like, how is this song going to be double the length of the actual Papyrus boss track? If the song had been shortened and a little bit more condensed, getting to the second verse quicker, then I would probably have been a lot more favourable to this song, but it doesn't do that. It takes a long time to get there, and it just doesn't keep me engaged enough, and for that I'm gonna have to give this a low C tier. Dating Tense is weird, because I don't think of it as a Papyrus song at all, and that is because it is actually Undyne's leitmotif being played here, not Papyrus's, which in a way you could say is this huge lore thing where Papyrus's idea of a tense situation is Undyne and it's all connected, but I'm just honestly not a huge fan of this song, despite what the implications may be. It's just a worse version of something that we'll see later on, so it's in D tier. I surprisingly like Dating Fight a lot more than I do Dating Start, which is probably attributed to the fact of how shortened it is. It just gets to the point so much quicker, and as such is actually quite fun to listen to. I understand that Dating Start is the way that it is, likely because of the mood shift is needed for that scene in the game and whatnot, blah blah blah, but that's not a part of my concern. I like this song better than Dating Start, and as such it's going to be placed in low B tier. This song is just 4 notes being played intermittently, and I don't care much for it. I'm sure if you listen closely enough to Premonition, you can tell that it's not the exact same notes, but it's just a looping jingle of sorts. It's gonna go in F tier. And after doing some research for this video, I stand by what I said in the beginning about not playing the game in fear of it changing my opinion of the music. This song, if you can call it that, plays during a very important cutscene, and I'm sure some people would bump it up because of that, but I'm not here for that at all. Premonition is still going to go in F tier. There is not much to talk about with this one. Danger Mystery is just Toby's danger theme on full display, and while it's used much later on in a better context, this jingle is fine. Nothing I'm going to listen to though, low D tier. Undyne's theme does an excellent job building her up as this threat that is both incredibly menacing but also kind of regal and royal, which makes sense because she is a part of the Royal Guard. This is something I quite like about Undyne's character that I feel gets underrepresented in the game and in the community, and that's just how terrifying she is when you first encounter her. This song does a fantastic job at conveying that. I mean, am I going to listen to it in my spare time? Probably not. That twanging instrument that gives it that royal, regal sound is also what puts me off of this song. I can't disrespect it though. This song is going in high C tier. Waterfall is one of those songs that I remember liking a lot more than I actually do, which is not to say it's a bad song or anything, it's just missing something that my mind has clearly embellished in it over the years. The first half of the song works very well in being mysterious and unknown, like you're travelling into an area that is not meant to be traversed and everything is foreign and maybe hostile. The underlying drone almost sounds like winds howling through the caves that have been yet unexplored. I think it suits the area of the game incredibly well alongside just being fun and relaxing to listen to. My problems begin to arise with the latter half of the song. Now I feel that I'm rather blessed here having my faulty memory because I don't think the more bombastic cymbal crashing fits with the area much, like at all. It's an okay part to listen to, but I just find it repeats itself a little bit too long. And while I usually hate songs that don't change too much, this just feels like the wrong direction to take this song in. I'm not sure, maybe I'm just not a big fan of this song and I'm missing something. I do quite like the ending of this song, however, it's a nice touch, and in the Undertale 5th anniversary livestream that puts a lot of the Waterfall songs all together, it sounds fantastic. But as it is in the soundtrack, it's only middle of C tier. Run is not a song I thought I would like as much as I do. At first it just seems to be a loop of a very quick, simple, freak out, get angry theme, but the addition of what I want to say is a bit crushed piano does this song great favours. And unlike a lot of the other bit-tuned songs that we've got so far, the notes not being high in this one and more muted and low doesn't make my ears bleed, so that's pretty cool. That being said, at the end of the day, this is just a jingle, so I'm going to have to put it in a low C tier. Quiet Water is a song that I enjoy very much. It's just so calming and zen. Is what I would be saying if I didn't have the revelation listening to the song a while back that the backing chords are just the Windows error theme, slowed down a lot. Now, much like Your Best Friend having F is for Friends in it, I just can't remove this from my brain, it is stuck in there. Either way, this song is an easy low to mid B tier. Memory is an incredibly important motif for Undertale, and it's being established quite early in the game. That alone puts this in C tier. On top of that, this motif is one that I quite enjoy. While writing this portion of the video, I had Memory playing on repeat, much like I have all the other songs that I've been listening to, and something about this song just lulls me into a nice, warm feeling. I really like this song. However, at the end of the day, it's just a tune repeating, and would likely achieve a similar effect looped if it was half the length that it is in the soundtrack. I don't often skip this song, but sometimes feeling like I'm going to fall asleep isn't the exact vibe I'm going for, and for that I'm going to have to place this one in low B tier. Bird that carries you over a disproportionately small gap is, as the name suggests, a bit of a joke, a bit of a prank of a song. Being used for a gag in the game, it achieves that purpose quite well, and for being so short I can't bring myself to skip it when it plays. I mean, when you think about it, this bird, this small bird, inspires so much joy. It inspires me to strive for excellence every single day. If this little bird can make it, what excuse do I have? Every day is a new day. A day for opportunity, a day to become the person you want to be. You can do anything you put your mind to. You just need to find it inside of yourself, and you need to start loving and trusting in you in the same way that you love and trust this bird to take you across this disproportionately small gap. Anyway, the song is high C tier. Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. This is what I've been waiting for, baby! Dummy. What a goddamn tune. This is the Chad version of Ghost Fight. This is peak performance. How a song that has spooky vocals that are sampled from a man going ooh, used as the instruments, go so unbelievably hard is beyond me, but Toby Fox, the crazy motherfucker, did it. This part of the video has been so hard to write and get done because I've just been fucking vibing to the song, positively bopping along. I can't even begin to explain how fucking good this is, but I guess that's what I've signed myself up to do, so I'll give it my best shot. The first 6 seconds would have you believe that this is just Ghost Fight all over again, but then it immediately changes up on you, adding some heavy instruments to complement the almost ghostly feel of the original Ghost Fight melody. That, alongside the reverb, gives it a much fuller feeling than the original Ghost Fight does. Not even 20 seconds in and it hits the proverbial bass drop, and this is where I lose myself in this goddamn song. It's just so jazzy and easy to dance along to. It should be unfair if I'm being entirely honest with you. It's like the entirety of the dancing plague of 1518 is being channeled entirely into my weak, feeble, small body. Anyway, so what I think makes this part so good is the overlapping melodies that somehow don't manage to interrupt or clash with each other. And all the while you have this chaotic bit tune piano going haywire in your left ear, just adding to the organized chaos that is this song. The backing drums make you want to get up and move your goddamn feet. It's just, it's fantastic. And then we have a vocal solo, if you will, which is just incredible. And much like most of Toby Fox's music, it doesn't overstay its welcome, only looping twice and then moving on to a much slower portion of the song. Now if just this part was the whole song, I would not feel as strongly about this as I do, as this part serves as some very necessary breathing room. Slowly introducing the instruments in small chunks before they all come crashing in all at once is such an incredibly nice touch. And after this brief respite, we return you to your regularly scheduled boppers. Even the final melody that loops is just the ghost motif, but the lack of reverb makes it so much more punchy. Like, man, what a good fucking song. Absolutely top of S tier. And what an abrupt change. Pathetic House is such a nothing song. I mean, it encapsulates Napstablook's laissez-faire vibe perfectly, but as a song, it's harsh on the ears and just an incredibly bit-crushed version of the regular Ghost theme. F tier. So Spooktune and its siblings, being intentionally low-effort songs, were originally going to be in the low D tier, because I don't actually dislike any of them too much. However, after listening to them so many times, I have noticed this underlying noise that peaks and distorts my speakers and just makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Unfortunately, this one is going in F tier. Spookwave is not a song that I expected to rank higher than its brethren, and yet here we are. Something about how this song travels ear to ear just makes me really happy, and it helps that its motif is very catchy and hummable. It doesn't have that noise or peaking that the other songs do, and so surprisingly it's going to go in low C tier. Ghouliday is just Jingle Bells, which would have displaced it in low D tier, a fine version of an existing song, but then that goddamn underlying peaking noise has to come and rear its ugly head again. I can't stand it, it's F tier. Chill is a fantastic ambient sound type of song. Surprisingly, it actually makes me think of a few things. Our place in the universe as humans, and if we will ever equate to much. Like, will we have an impact on this vast, ever-expanding universe, or are we just ants in the cosmos? Making our own little colonies and communities just to help pass the time until our inevitable demise. Do we matter? Do I matter? Does anything matter? It also makes me think of this song. Hi C2. I swear to God, listening to the soundtrack gives you tonal whiplash harder than slamming to a wall at high speed. Thundersnail is a song about a garden snail who dreams of being a racer, just like his hero, 5-time Indy 500 champion guy. Wait a minute, no, that's not right. This song is a fun little tune. It's a mix of funny and just funky enough to make me bop my head along to it. It's nothing super profound or incredible, just a little tune that is going to go in a low C tier. Here's the thing about Temmie Village. It's strangely musically there, but despite my love of a song that uses ghostly ooh samples as its main instrument, this one just doesn't do it to me. Maybe it's just a little bit too random humor for me. As I said, it has a nice enough melody, and if I forget to skip it, I won't be mad or anything, but it's comfortably sitting in the low of D tier. Tem Shop is one of those songs that if you cast your mind back to the start of this video, I said, quickly having theories, let's plays, and covers of the game music made and uploaded online. Like and subscribe. Ooh. And I have a confession to make. I like a remix of this song better than the actual song. I know, I'm sorry for my crimes. But because of this, I cannot listen to this song anymore. It just sounds wrong, incomplete. Nothing lives up to this remix. So is this going to be the most arbitrary F in the video? Yeah, probably. But if you've got a problem with it, feel free to make your own damn tier list. Or yell at me in the comments. I'll read every single one of them and cry. I don't even know how to pronounce this song. Nyeh sticks with the theme of Toby just naming these songs whatever the damn hell he wants. It serves as the introduction to Undyne proper, and as the introduction to her motif that will be expanded upon in literally the next song. It works well for what it is. A song that plays right before a song and improves it. It still holds up quite well on its own. There's a level of simplicity to this song that still sounds really good. If Toby only had the chance of doing the soundtrack and bit-tune instruments, then this would likely be up there in high A tier. However, due to Spear of Justice immediately following this song, I can't place it any higher than B tier. What can I say? Spear of Justice is just a better version of the previous song. It seriously is just better. It blends the bit-tuned instruments and the real instruments flawlessly. This song holds onto its boss fighty sound a lot more than other songs Toby produces, and I would say that's to its favour. Undyne so far is the only enemy where mindlessly clicking spare is not going to work, as me, from 7 years ago, learnt the hard way. I don't have much else to say. It's easily top of A tier, it's just not the best song that we get for Undyne. Ooh is an ambient track that uses a sample of someone saying ooh and makes it low and grumbly. That's it. F tier. I'm not sure if Alphys' theme just rubs me the wrong way because it's kind of awkward and goofy to begin with, which I know fits her character perfectly, or if it's just because it's surrounded by so many better songs in the OST, but before the 30-second mark, this song is just unbearable to me. I really don't know why, and after it picks up, it's fine. I'm still not the biggest fan of this song. D tier. Now this is a song I can really get behind. It's Showtime is the perfect song for a cheesy game show introduction, which, go figure, is what its context is in game. It is also just a really fun and catchy tune. This song feels distinct among all the other... I keep saying among and thinking of Among Us. This song feels distinct among all the other Mettaton songs that we get in the soundtrack. I can't help but bop my head along to this song. It's like a brainworm. It gets in there and it won't leave. Catch me walking around humming this damn song everywhere I go. It's fucking high A tier for sure. Mettaton, as a character, might have the best collections of songs in this soundtrack. Metal Crusher being the first battle theme that we get from Mettaton, it's simply amazing. It somehow is an extremely bit-toony song that I don't hate, in fact I quite love it. Sometimes I don't have much to say about a song, just that I enjoy it thoroughly. Now the real topic that I can talk about here is whether I like this more than It's Showtime, and surprisingly I only think I barely do, which is a testament to how good both these songs are. We've got more Mettaton songs coming up in a bit, and we'll see how they stack up to these first two. It'll be rough, but we'll see. High A tier for sure. I would be doing little 13-year-old me a disservice if I didn't put another medium in S tier. The only question is, does it hold up, or is it just nostalgia speaking, and I'm gonna have to bring it down? I mean, my memory is incredibly faulty. I don't even remember playing the game, so how do I know that I enjoyed this song so much? Alright, I'll drop the shtick. This song goes ungodly hard. Even just 7 seconds in. Something about the piano keys racing back and forth as the main synth comes into focus still blows me away like it did 7 years ago playing Undertale for the first time on my shitty laptop. The beginning of this song just sounds so awesome, and not in the conventional term of the word. I mean, I literally feel overwhelmed with awe listening to it. I'd like to imagine this is what you hear when you meet God in the afterlife at the pearly gates. One thing about this song that has always been distracting to me though is its use of the fleeing sound. I don't have a problem with it, it's just always stuck out to me. Regardless, this song goes from being overwhelming and awesome to a complete bop in about 20 seconds. And even before the main melody comes in around a minute in the song, it's already high A tier. And then, much like all my favorite Undertale songs, it switches it up, adding a main melody to the song that complements the backing instruments so well. 30 seconds after the melody is introduced, we're back into this incredible angelic sounding song. Seriously, I feel like if you were throating seriously, I feel like if you were just floating through the universe, this would be your backing track. And my god, the way it just comes snapping back in an instant, it's so clean, I fucking love it. Even before the main melody returns, the backing tracks are just beautifully weaving in and out of each other. It's just so crisp, I love it. Ending on a soft note that evokes discovery is just so beautiful. Like, fuck, I love this song. Young me knows how to pick 'em clearly. Top of S tier, and still my favorite Undertale song. Man. Uwa Soheed, such a disappointing letdown after the banger that is another medium. It's much like its relatives, you know the gist. Joystick config menu, blah blah blah, plays during summer, blah blah. This song is mediocre, it's just not worth my time. D tier. Stronger Monsters is the evolution of enemy approaching as it serves as the battle music in the core area of the game where you fight stronger monsters. This track has big boots to fill considering how good enemy approaching is, and I think it just falls short of that. It's not a bad song by any means, it ticks all the boxes, evolves as the song keeps playing, it's never too stale, it has a blend of different instruments, and it's as upbeat as you need for battle music. Enemy approaching, however, is just too damn good. It just feels like it has more personality. As much as I would love to consider this a stronger version of enemies approaching, I just can't. It's top of B tier for me. Hotel is one of those sleeper hits in the Undertale soundtrack. It's not the theme of some area or a character, it's just a song that plays in the hotel, and it's way better than it has any right to be. It's so catchy and corporate sounding, yet it has an underlying groovy feel to it. It just gets me in a good vibe and mood. Sometimes a song is just a good song. I mean, what did I tell you? Any song related to Mettaton, even tangentially, is an absolute banger. This is low A tier for sure. On brand with Toby naming songs whatever the damn hell he feels like, we have Can You Really Call This a Hotel? I didn't receive a mint on my pillow or anything. Being a slightly modified and sped up version of the previous Hotel song means this one is just as groovy. I'm conflicted on if I like it more than the original, which isn't usually the case when it comes to songs that are derivatives of other songs. The quicker pace of this song feels like how Hotel was planned to be, and it was slowed down for the sake of having this be the more energetic version of the song. I don't even know where this plays in the game either, and I don't really care. I just know it's so damn good. High A tier. Confession. Despite having a very important sounding name, is a complete mystery to me. And I'm sticking to my principles of staying in the dark. I refuse to look up where this song plays in game. All I know is I'm not a huge fan of this song. It's repetitive and slow and uninspired sounding. Not a fan at all. Low D tier. Live Report is another one of those songs that I like way more than I should. It's not going to creep its way into A tier or anything, but it sets out to be a catchy news sounding jingle and it does that perfectly. The next version of this though has this one beat, so this is going to be high C tier. The cooler Live Report, Death Report. This song is both kind of hilarious and kind of incredibly catchy. The high-stakes, bombastic sound of this song being played over the top of you defusing bombs that Mettaton has placed to essentially be their huge TV rating pool is just comedic to me. But it also slaps, like, so hard. Halfway through when the cymbals come crashing in and the strings start going to town, it's just absolute perfection. It's just so bombastic and catchy that it gets embedded in my brain, and I find myself unknowingly humming along to a song about defusing bombs and dogs? High B tier. Imagine donating enough money to the Kickstarter of Undertale to have your own custom character put in, and this is the song that you get as your battle theme. I could not think of a much better scenario. Spider Dance, which I wrote hyphenated as if it were Spider-Man's name, is such a banger of a song. It starts off simple enough, and just when you think, yeah, it's okay, the song throws you a complete curveball, crescendoing into one of the catchiest songs in the entire soundtrack. When I said that a song makes you want to get up and dance, I mean this song, this particular song. Even when the song takes a brief detour to relax for a moment or two, I'd still say it's an absolute banger. Ending it the same way that it started was a smart choice, I'd say. It keeps the listener from being overwhelmed and gets the core melody across perfectly. Easy S tier. Imagine donating enough money to the Undertale Kickstarter to have your own custom character put in, and you get a song in... Wait a minute, that's right. Wrong Enemy is another Kickstarter enemy theme that, unfortunately, does not even compare to Spider Dance. My bias against goofy sounding songs is likely to blame here, but I cannot stand this song whatsoever. I learned to appreciate it over the years, but that doesn't mean I like it. Could you call this an unfair F tier? Sure, but I also don't really care. Oh, One True Love is only entertaining the first time you witness it within its cutscene in the game. It's a nice idea to go for lyrics in the way that Toby did, but listening to it as a standalone song, the lyric idea kinda hurts it. It's just so mediocre. If it was shortened, it wouldn't be as bad, but then if it were shortened, it wouldn't work for the cutscene. I won't fault Toby for making the game first and the soundtrack second, but it's my damn tier list and I'll place it where I want, and I think this fits in high D tier. Remember when I said if the previous song was shorter, I'd probably like it more? Well, here we are. Oh Dungeon is exactly that. And it's no wonder that I like this more than the other song. It's not like a song that'll blow your socks off or anything, but it's still pretty good. Mettaton songs simply don't miss. Low C tier for this one. It's Raining Somewhere Else is a beautiful song, and there's not much that I can say about it without ripping off Vivat Veritas? I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Video on the matter. Anything that I can say, they would probably put much better, and why regurgitate what someone else has already said? Go watch their video. After this one, of course. All you need to worry your little head about is that it's going to go in high A tier. Core Approach is an ambient track. That's it. Bonus points for having the ever great hotel theme in your background, I suppose, but you're not escaping F tier, my friend. When I was younger, I got this song mixed up with another medium so much that I began to hate this song. Was that hatred irrational? Well, yeah, Core is a fantastic area theme, no doubt about it. But is it better than the aforementioned Another Medium? Well, it's definitely a tight race for sure. I don't have much to say about Core in the same way I do Another Medium. Don't get me wrong, I get into an equally as groovy mood with this song, and it definitely evolves and changes dramatically over the course of the song. It just doesn't strike a chord with me in the same way that Another Medium does. All of this negative talk, and you might be surprised to learn that I would consider this an S tier song. It just slaps so hard, I have nothing better to say about it. As a short jingle, the last episode does its job well enough. It's also over soon enough that I don't have any ill will towards it. Perhaps it's the Mettaton blessing, but this track only gets a low C tier.
Oh yes.
It is not nearly as good outside of its intended context and is honestly a bit annoying. It just lasts long enough to be a little bit of a pest. The first Mettaton song that's gonna go in F tier, if it had the accompanying vocals with it, it would be an easy C tier, but, well, it doesn't. I don't think there could be a more fitting song for Mettaton EX than Death by Glamour, and what a good song it is at that. When I said earlier that Spider Dance was the song that I was talking about when I said a song makes you want to get up and dance, well guess what fuckers, I lied, it's this goddamn song. Starting off so mild, only to erupt into a cacophony of incredible sounds within half a minute is honestly impressive. And while looking at the runtime of the song initially had me worried I would quickly get tired and done with this song, I'm happy to report that that did not happen. In fact, with how often this song changes things up, I'm consistently just engaged with the smooth tunes. I can't quite explain to you why this song is so good. All I can say is it's a groovy song made to dance to, and sometimes that's all you need. Even if you can't dance, such as myself, this song makes me wish that I could. An absolute bop. There is no place this song could go except for S tier. While I want to like For the Fans, it's just a bittersweet rendition of Oh One True Love, and I don't like that song. It's going to go higher than Oh True Love because it's somewhat bearable, but I'm not putting it any higher than D tier. Oh One True Love is there for gameplay reasons, For the Fans sounds better and is there for that reason. Side by side, perfectly balanced. I know what you're thinking. Long elevator, F tier, garbage, straight trash. But no. I actually think this is the only way to listen to its following companion song, the titular Undertale. So this isn't F tier. It's more low D tier. Something about this track just makes me sit there and reflect, probably nostalgia, but it gets my emotions set up perfectly for Undertale to come and rip them straight down. And here we come to the titular song of the album, Undertale. I shouldn't even need to tell you where this song is being placed. It is literally the song that the game is named after. A fun fact about the song, it used to be the only song that could help make me cry on demand. Now I can just cry on demand at will. Don't read too far into that. You may have noticed, but so far I've been trying to talk long enough to let a majority of the songs in the album play out in full, and with this song being 6.5 minutes long, I might have to throw the towel in with this one. Undertale is just a song that feels so personal, and the longer the game is out and being enjoyed by more people, helping them form core memories of playing the game or interacting with its fandom, I feel like the song becomes better and better. It ages like a finely ripened wine. Is that what you call wine? I don't know. When you first listen to Undertale, the song parallels the story of the fallen human and Asriel perfectly. The solo guitar representing Kara on the surface world where they were shunned and possibly an outcast, and the slowly increasing prominence of the backing tune being the allure of Mount Ebott. That's the mountain that you fall in the game, by the way. A place far away from all the humans, a place where Kara can be alone, and as it speeds up, representing Kara's fall into the underground, we hear a piano being introduced, a representation of Toriel. Possibly the entire Dreamer family, but I think it's just Toriel. I know Asriel's the one who found Kara when they fell in the underground, but the piano is more reminiscent of Toriel and is likely alluding to the start of the game in that sense. It's a somewhat comforting sound, but the song still remains rather tame and reserved, much like Kara would have in a new place with weird monster creatures that they've never seen before. And full confession, I don't know the timeline of this song or Kara's story for that matter. It could just be weeks, months, years, but over time, Kara begins to feel more comfortable and more at home. They're not judged here, they can be themselves here. They're always loved here. And as the strings are introduced around 1.5 minutes in, I believe this represents Asriel, someone they've grown to be best friends with, like they were always siblings, like Kara always had a family that loved them. I think this represents Asriel for a couple of reasons. One of them being that the first time that we see his true form, Hopes and Dreams, has very prominent strings in the song, and after a while of being content and happy and having a place to call home, Kara turns very, very ill. What the Underground doesn't know, that we as the players do, and Asriel, is that Kara getting ill wasn't a mistake. Kara poisoned themselves so that Asriel could absorb their soul, cross the barrier, collect 6 human souls to free the monsters. The song, however, doesn't just contain one point of view, I believe. I think it covers many, the beginning being from Kara's point of view. And from the moment that Kara dies and the solemn lonely strings play, I think it represents Asriel's point of view. I say Asriel because towards the end of the strings section you can hear a third instrument being introduced. It's not the guitar that represents the death of Kara, or the strings that represents Asriel. It's another instrument, and it sounds like someone trying to amp themselves up. Asriel was at first hesitant to go through with Kara's plan, but he ends up going through with it anyway, carrying them to the bed of flowers in their village where they grew up. The next part of the song represents that. Asriel absorbing Kara's soul, passing through the barrier, and making his way towards Kara's home village. Now we know, when Asriel gets there, the humans attack him. The next part of the song could be interpreted in a couple of ways because of this. You could read it as Kara trying to convince Asriel to fight back and kill all the humans, or you could read it as Asriel reflecting on the good times that he had with his family in his final moments before he thought he was going to die. Either way, we hear Asriel continue to hold on just long enough to make his way back home to the underground before dying, seeing his parents one last time before he goes. And in the final moments of the song, you can hear the sadness that Toriel and Asriel are experiencing. They lost their 2 children in only one day, watching one of them scattered to dust in front of them. And while I believe that was the intended reading of Undertale, you know, when you originally play the game, I feel that it has changed and evolved over the years. Undertale now represents whatever it is you may have accomplished since playing or experiencing Undertale all those years ago. Anything that you initially thought impossible all those years back, that you have since made possible. However much that you may have grown and learned about yourself as a person. Whatever happened after you found a new hobby, a new interest, a new home. It may sound incredibly corny and possibly even cringy to some, but Undertale, the soundtrack, the community, the culture, feels like a warm blanket to me. A sense of familiarity that I can anchor myself with, both as a reminder of my formative years and also as a place to return to when the future gets tough. Did you ever wonder why I'm making an Undertale tier list in the year of our Lord 2023? Like, it's weird, right? The game came out, God, fucking 8 years ago now. Why am I talking about it now? There are more important things in the cultural zeitgeist I could be talking about. Undertale's quasi-sequel, Deltarune, has 2 chapters out that I haven't played and I could be talking about instead. But I always come back to Undertale, because Undertale, as silly as it may sound, being a game that I don't even remember playing, is deeply important to me. When I listen to the Undertale soundtrack, I'm not just listening to some funky bops. I'm reminding myself of how far I've come since 2016. I'm choosing to stay determined. And nothing encapsulates that feeling better than the titular song. That is Undertale. S tier, obviously. Man, talk about tonal whiplash. A song that might play when you fight Sans is exactly what it sounds like, a scrap song that may have initially played when you fought Sans. This song, while an interesting look into what Toby does and does not deem of a high enough quality to use in the game, is scrap for a reason. I mean, it suits Sans' outward persona of a goofy fella who just wants to crack jokes better than Megalovania does, but that's just the thing. That's Sans' outwards persona. Sans is a much deeper character than the silly, goofy skeleton man. And if this song had played where you fight Sans in the final game, it would have been incredibly out of place. The underground is empty. Almost everyone is dead. Sans' brother, you murdered him? And whoa, here comes the funny skeleton man. Woo! I don't like goofy songs, you know this. Low B tier. The choice is not a song. It's just a sped up version of an excerpt of Undertale, and it's like 2 minutes long. This could have easily been a loop in the game and not taken up so much space in the soundtrack. F tier. Similarly, Small Shock is another non-song. This one, however, is only 14 seconds long, so it's not nearly as annoying as The Choice. It's high F tier, but it's definitely still F tier. Wow, we are not letting up with these brief ambient tracks. This one, however, is not brief enough. Barrier sits at 30 seconds long, which isn't nearly as bad as The Choice, but isn't nearly as good as Small Shock either. It's still not a song, and I'm gonna skip it, so it's obviously F tier. Can you rest like fingers in his ass? Can you rest like fingers in his ass? Next up, we have Bergentrückung? Bergentrückung? I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Either way, it's the song that plays right before you fight ASGORE. And as a little jingle to get you hyped, it does its job well enough. Being a bit crushed short version of what the next track is hurts it greatly, however. And because of that, I'm going to have to place it in low B tier. Next up, we have ASGORE, another boss song, and we know where most of those have ended up, so I feel it's pretty obvious where this song's gonna go. Low A tier. Yeah, this song is really, really good. I just don't think it's S tier. There's nothing wrong with the song, I just personally don't like it as much as the other boss songs. It's still a high energy banger, but it doesn't quite crack the S tier for me. If we were talking about the Undertale 5th anniversary rendition of it, however, it would be S tier, but we're not. This song also suffers from the same problem that Your Best Friend suffers from, and that's that I cannot hear this song without lyrics. Not lyrics that Toby made, but lyrics that I have heard externally that are now stuck in my head. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I bless your soul. Just don't look up Kanye West ASGORE song. Whatever you do, do not look it up. I don't have much to say on this one really. As a final boss song, I just don't think it's as impactful as it could be. You could argue that it's not the true final boss song and that's why, but come on. Toby is building ASGORE up the whole game, especially when you first meet him. It's intense. Unfortunately, this is a low A tier. There's once again not much to say about this one. You idiot. It's Toby's 3-note danger tension theme, which this does perfectly, but that's all it does. It's not really a song. The only reason it's not F tier is it feels necessary to play before listening to the subsequent song, Your Best Nightmare, so this track is going to sit comfortably in low D tier. Man, oh man. This is one of those songs that I never expected to absolutely love as much as I do. From the creepy, distorted, flowery laugh in the opening, which is just the aforementioned danger theme that Toby loves to use, Your Best Nightmare shouldn't be as much of a boppin' tune as it is. I mean, wow, what a chaotic symphony of madness. There couldn't be a better track to exemplify the deranged chaos that is Photoshop Flowey. I mean, just look at this fucking thing. Not only are you staring down this monstrosity, but now you're saving and reloading control, the one mechanic you've always had control over in the game. It's perfectly organized chaos, which works perfectly as juxtaposed to the soul portions of this song, which I should probably explain. Because while I don't let the game colour my enjoyment of the soundtrack, without the context here you are completely in the dark, so let me recap. Flowey, this evil flower, has taken possession of 6 human souls. Don't worry about it, all you need to know is it makes him incredibly powerful. Thus, we have this monstrosity. The souls, however, are fighting back. Once again, don't worry about it. Order and chaos. You get the idea. So this song starts with the chaotic bass line wandering up and down all over the place that really gives you that feeling that everything is completely out of your control. There's no hope. Everything's happening all at once and you have no say in what's going on. After the souls take hold, however, indicated by the intermittent alarms blaring followed by the static, the music has a through line that you can actually follow. A sort of glimpse of hope in the dark. And this is all before you're being ripped straight back into the chaotic hell that is Flowey's making. Rinse and repeat this about 3 times and you've got yourself a pretty good thematic song. But the flowery segments of this song just go way harder than they have any right to. This song is just the embodiment of energy. Quick, 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 go, 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 go. If I worked out, this would be in my playlist. You might think, but Jericho, didn't you just say that ASGORE and Your Best Friend suffers from hearing lyrics that you can't help but hear? And I did say that, and while this is just a remix of Your Best Friend, the idea of messed up remixes of F is for Friends from SpongeBob is so funny to me that I actually don't mind it being in this song. If anything, I think it adds to the complete absurdity and chaos of this situation. This song is easily an S tier, which is weird for the song that starts with a fucking demonic laugh, right? Oh boy, in case you haven't got enough of F is for Friends, we have Finale, which is surprisingly beautiful. This orchestral rendition of Your Best Friend is absolutely fantastic and I fucking love it. It only has one small problem, which, yeah, you guessed it. The impact of the moment is kinda tarnished by me hearing SpongeBob. Where it worked in Your Best Nightmare's favour, it doesn't quite here. You could say I'm taking external factors and using them to critique the soundtrack, and yeah, that's kind of the beauty of doing this 8 years after the game's release. I have other things to compare tracks to. If you have a problem with it, feel free to yell at me in the comments, I'll read all of them, but like, I don't care. For an example, the home theme. It's an A tier. But if I had done this ranking back in 2016, I would have easily placed this in S tier. You Can Always Come Home from Deltarune has since taken its spot in S tier. Is this unfair? Maybe, but it's also my tier list, so what are you gonna do? Anyway, I digress. Finale is a middle of A tier song. An ending just barely scrapes its way out of D tier. Now, I know, I'm coming at this one pretty hard and fast, but there's not much to speak about here. It's a slowed down version of Ruins, and it fucking peaks like crazy. So why isn't it in D tier? Well, the string instruments that enter about halfway through, they add so much to this track. Feelings of regret, longing and sadness, what could have been, how things might have turned out. It works fantastically as the neutral ending of the game, encouraging players to try again and to make things right, but as a standalone song, it's rather average. C tier. Low C tier. She's Playing Piano is a short track of someone playing piano. It's just that. Low D tier. It's not F though, like sometimes it's a nice cleanser from an ending, but low D tier. I initially thought that I liked Here We Are a lot more than I'm now realizing I do. Being the song that plays when exploring the true lab, it attempts to be unnerving and spooky, which it kind of does, but then at the same time it's trying to be a funky tune to listen to, and I don't think they mold well together at all. The funky piano enters about 40 seconds into the song, so even if I thought it worked, there are 40 seconds of what is essentially ambient noise that I have to listen through first. And even when it does start up, I just don't vibe with this song well at all. It's a little too all over the place, with the piano trying to place the tempo in the background, ambient noise doing something completely different, and the drums on top of all that doing their own thing. It's not a terrible song by any means, and on some days I might even enjoy it a tad, but that's not an often occurrence. Because of that, the song is going to have to go comfortably somewhere in B tier. In my mind, I must have gotten Here We Are and Amalgam mixed up, because I initially thought I did not enjoy Amalgam at all. But I actually do, quite a lot. I'm not sure if it's because it's much shorter and to the point, or if it's because it has the funky drums in the background. The main melody also just flows a little bit better with the accompanying instruments, so I just like this song better. It still manages to give off the creepy, unnerving vibe, but in a way that doesn't bore me to death. Low A tier. If you recall, when ranking Fallen Down, I mentioned that a much better Reprise version of it would be coming later on. This is that Reprise version, and as I mentioned at the top of this video, it is a direct improvement. Fallen Down Reprise is an extended version that continues where the original left off and continues to build on the themes that the original set up. The warm and comforting vibes that were present in the original are also here tenfold. It's such a cheery and chipper song that just makes me happy. It's one of those songs that you get stuck in your head all day long and just put you in a good mood. I can't expand on this song much more than I already have. It simply evolves Fallen Down in a way that outright replaces the original one, so it's going to sit in the middle of A tier. Don't Give Up is another song that borrows heavily from Ruins, much like An Ending. This song is beautiful and conveys the feeling of desperation and hope that it's going for. It's a certain type of song to be sure, not one that you're always in the mood to listen to, but it is very uplifting. I feel if it was shorter it would be higher. As it is at the moment, it feels like it just goes on for too long, almost as if it could have been a much shorter track that could be looped instead of being a 2-minute long and take up so much space in the soundtrack. Low C tier. Man, Hopes and Dreams, for what is essentially an orchestral version of Once Upon a Time, is going to rank so much higher than it. This track has such a sense of grandiosity to it. The strings coming in strong to start the song, followed by the drums and the accompanying instruments shortly after, and that electric guitar riff as they're introduced. Man, this song lives up to the name Hopes and Dreams. What a grand and powerful sounding song. Not to mention in-game, Asriel is floating around this rainbow psychedelic background with this rainbow after image that just fits perfectly. This song really feels like a grand epic battle at the edge of space and time. If Your Best Nightmare was a chaotic fight against an all-powerful being you can't defeat, then Hopes and Dreams is a beautiful fight against an all-powerful being that you can defeat with the power of Hopes and Dreams. It shows the dichotomy of Asriel and Flowey perfectly. When I said earlier that Undertale, the song, is a song that you can anchor yourself in as you go forth into life, this song is a song that makes you want to charge headfirst into whatever life has to offer. And it's not blind optimism either. There are moments of quiet during this song where the epic electric guitar simmers down and there's this brief uncertainty, but when that guitar picks back up again, it's like you're unstoppable. Strangely enough, this is one of those examples of Your Best Friend being used where I don't associate F is for Friends with it at all, which avoids quite a potential downfall. Could you imagine how much of a mood breaker that would be? This big epic battle and then all you hear is SpongeBob? The Snowdin town theme being present in the latter half of this song makes it seem really familiar as well. Even though new things are to come in the future which you are prepared for, there will always be the memories of the past with you, influencing you as you grow and achieve your wildest hopes and dreams. Man, what an easy S tier. I'm gonna have trouble sorting this tier. Burn in Despair is a brief break from the awesome wonder that is the Hopes and Dreams duo-ship of song, and I kinda hate it for that. Like, yes, we can't just switch from Hopes and Dreams to Save the World, but I also always skip this track anyway. Additionally, I just don't find it fun to listen to. Low D tier. Save the World, much like Asriel's new form during this phase of the fight, is exactly what you would expect a child to think is a cool, epic, super final mega boss. It's so over the top, it's absolutely ridiculous and I fucking love it. Is it essentially a sped up, slightly altered version of Hopes and Dreams? Yeah, but I still love it. Honestly, probably more than Hopes and Dreams because of that. I really have to think about that one because that's a tough choice to make. It's like picking a favorite child. No, in fact, it's harder than picking a favorite child. Everyone has that one dipshit sibling that no one likes, like Kara. S tier song. I don't have much to say about this. It just makes my brain go brrrr. For what is a bigger, orchestral, more ambitious version of Memory, this song easily lands in at least B tier. His theme is emotional. Where Memory had me feeling like I was being lulled into a slumber, this song doesn't do that. You can feel all of Asriel's regrets and mistakes weighing down on him in this song. And even though at this point he's an all-powerful being, he's still just a kid. The sense that everything is too much to bear, and despite trying your best all the time, you still have so many regrets, and it feels like you've made so many mistakes. The feeling of never being able to make up for lost time and feeling like you had to grow up too fast and your childhood flew by, only to be left as a faint memory, are things that I can relate to a lot. This song never really made me emotional before, and maybe that's because I haven't listened to it as much as the other songs in this soundtrack, or maybe it's because it's nestled neatly at the back amongst other bigger, more bombastic songs that I just never paid much attention to it, or maybe I just never really understood the weight of Asriel's story. I was 13 when I played and consumed Undertale. But the thing is, now, as a 20-year-old, writing and recording this script, my hands are starting to shake. I can feel my throat swelling and my eyes are beginning to tear up, which is weird because I've never felt this way about this song before. Originally I was just going to place this in a mid-B tier song, you know, I'll skip it a lot, but I found a new appreciation for this song that I've never really had before for any other song in the soundtrack. So I'm going to have to bump this one up to an S tier. Final power is Asriel letting go, trying to move on. It doesn't hit me as hard as his theme, so don't worry about me getting emotional again. This track is just short enough where I don't hate it, and I actually quite like how everything comes to an abrupt stop at the end. It sounds quite nice, but I often skip this, so high D tier. Reunited is the brief best-of remix of a lot of the game's track. This song is a lot more melancholic than the following best-of track, Bring It In Guys, and I kinda love it for that. I mentioned earlier that I've been trying to talk a lot over all the songs so you can listen to them alongside me for some context, but this song's essentially just a look back at our adventure so far and I don't have much to say. It's not quite S tier, but definitely high A tier. Finally, I have the non-bit crushed version of Menu, and it is beautiful. I understand why Toby used the other Menu track, however, for listening purposes, Menu, full, is just better in every other way. This song is so catchy and upbeat, I love it, man. It also loops really nicely, bro, easy high B tier. Respite, much like an ending, is an altered version of Ruins, and it's fine. Man, I don't really have much to say about it. This is one of those songs that I almost always skip. It just doesn't sit well with me. I know realistically it should be like a low C tier, but it's my list and I've elected to put it in a high D tier, so that's where it's gonna go. Bring It In Guys, as previously mentioned, acts as a best of type of song, and I think it works perfectly as it plays over the credits. I also find it pretty neat how the songs are played in order when you encounter them throughout the game and throughout the soundtrack. It serves as a nice little look back through your journey. I don't have much to say given that I've spoken at length on all these songs individually, and they didn't really butcher any of them with their remixes, so I'm going to put it in S tier. Last Goodbye is a remix / mashup of Asriel's fantastic themes, Hopes and Dreams, and Save the World. And if that's all this song was, I would be perfectly content with it sitting in high A tier. However, Toby just had to add in what seems to be a live recording of him playing the piano into the song. As I've mentioned a few times, I have an extreme bias towards the piano as an instrument, so that just makes this song even better than it would have been without it. It serves as a good send-off to the game, and if this was the end of the soundtrack, I would have also been perfectly content with it finishing on a Toby playing the piano. The noise type of compressed staticky interference that you can hear from the live recording gives it this analog, emotional, nostalgic impact to it. A very, very easy S tier. This, however, is not the end of our soundtrack journey, so let's move on. But the Earth Refused to Die. What an absolutely kick-ass name for a song. It's a real shame that I often don't listen to this song at all. It's just some weird angelic chanting and what sounds like waves and wind. I don't like this song. It does serve very well as a stopgap between the Genocide Route songs and the rest of the soundtrack, so I'm not going to put it in F tier, but it can sit at the top of D tier. When I was ranking Spirit Justice, I mentioned how it was not the best song that we get for Undyne, and that title belongs to this song, Battle Against the True Hero. And what a good song it is. Firstly, the name alone is a clever little play on the fact that in order to encounter this song in game, you must be on a genocide route, seeking out everyone in order to murder them in cold blood. Undyne in this situation is the true hero, putting herself in the way of a murderous psychopath who, by all records in the underground, is going to be significantly stronger than her. Cheeky little titles aside, this song is beautiful. I've mentioned a few times my bias towards the piano, and wouldn't you believe the song starts with a piano? The elegance this song starts with before exploding into a loud, fast piece of musical beauty is something I've always appreciated. Toby could have just gone straight into it. I don't think anyone would have batted an eye, and I think that the beginning portion of the song is incredibly important though. It's almost as if the gravity of the situation is suddenly dawning upon Undyne. She's always been the strongest, but you're a force of pure evil. Slow build up of the low piano notes representing Undyne's realization before the song really picks up and Undyne doesn't even think about it. She just has to protect everyone. That's her role in all this. It's beautiful. The song just communicates so much without the game needing to say a word. And a minute 30 in, where the song quiets down and enters this rhythmic lull, you can almost picture Undyne and Frisk exchanging blows. It's almost elegant, like a dance, before the song picks back up and Undyne simply gets overpowered. There's no hope for her. She will die. It might take a while, but abruptly, much like the ending of the song, she will end. Everything will be quiet, and Undyne will be gone. An easy S tier. Power of Nyeh would eventually go on to be used to great effect in Big Shot, but for now it's a small 30-second fake-out song. I do think it's interesting that Mettaton Nyeh as a form is designed to be the protector by Alphys, and as such has a theme that is just Undyne theme looping. It's a nice little detail that when Alphys thinks of a protector who is the strongest, she thinks of Undyne. Again, not explicitly stated, but the music conveys that idea. Either way, it's only a mid-B tier. Let's be real with each other for a moment here. We both know where this song is going to be ranked, and we both know that you know this song already. Whether it be Funny Internet Skeleton Man, ha ha ha, or the song that was played to the Pope, and no, I'm not joking about that, Megalovania needs no introduction, and I won't even toy with you. It's S tier. There's nothing I can say about the song that you haven't heard already. Did you know the song was originally used in an Earthbound Halloween hack? Yes, of course you knew that, you stupid weenie baby you. Did you know that the song appears in Super Smash Bros? Duh, of course you did. What can I say about such an iconic song? I like how this initially upbeat song slowly mellows down and shows signs that Sans is a lot more powerful and distraught about the situation than he initially leads on. Like, yeah, no shit, dumb fuck. It's fucking Megalovania. Come on, man. Next song. Good Night. Strangely, with a space between the words. It's a short, solemn send-off, and it would be heartless of me to place this anywhere near the bottom of the tier list. I will mention the very well-known Siva Gunner rip of this song that mixes it with Goodbye to a World by Porter Robinson, which that version of the song is just so damn good. It gets me every single time. As for the version we have in the soundtrack, I'm going to place this about mid-B tier. With that being said, thank you. Seriously, thank you. This was meant to be a quick, unscripted, and unedited video, and I ended up blowing this up into way more than that. I would like to give a huge shout out to the Cursed Judge. Not that he needs it from me, seeing as if you found this channel, it's likely through him. He has really done a lot for me, despite not knowing the guy personally at all. He was the first YouTuber that I've ever pledged to on Patreon, and I don't plan on ending that pledge, like ever. Recently he made a playlist with video essay type videos that he regards highly and would recommend. Seeing me in that playlist has reinvigorated me to do this passion of mine. I've been juggling a lot lately, and being able to come home from work and be laser focused on this project has meant the world to me. My first video didn't get too much traction, and I wasn't expecting it to. But Judge's few words of praise for that video that took me months to make meant everything to me. You know, maybe it wasn't all for nothing. Maybe I'll give this channel another shot for the third time. Once again, thank you, and good night.